Would anyone else like to chant the verse? Dharma swanustita pumsam Vishvaksena katasuyan Notpadayed yadiratim Shrama eva hi kevalam Dharma swanustita pumsam Vishvaksena katasuyan Notpadayed yadiratim Shrama eva hi kevalam. Okay. Do we have a book for? Would you like a book also? Do you have? Can you? Right. Okay. Oh. Okay. No problem. We'll look around. There we go. Everybody's got cell phone copies. We have one old-fashioned book, 128. Okay, so this is a beautiful verse from the answers given by Sutta Goswami to the questions asked by the sages who gathered at Naimisharanya to ask, what is the future of the world? And in reply, he, among other things, he gives this advice for spiritual growth. Let's say the synonyms together, please. Dharma, occupation, swanustita, executed in terms of one's own position, pungsam, of humankind, vishvaksena, the personality of Godhead, plenary portion, katasu, the message of, ya, what is, na, not, utpadayet, does produce, yadi, if, ratim, attraction, shrama, useless labor, eva, only, he, certainly, kevalam, entirely. And translation, let's read together. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada's purport. There are different occupational activities in terms of man's different conceptions of life. To the gross materialist, who cannot see anything beyond the gross material body, there is nothing beyond the senses. Therefore, his occupational activities are limited to concentrated and extended selfishness. Concentrated selfishness centers around the personal body. This is generally seen amongst the lower animals. Extended selfishness is manifested in human society and centers around the family, society, community, nation, and world with a view to gross bodily comfort. Above those gross materialists are the mental speculators who hover aloft in the mental spheres, and their occupational duties involve making poetry and philosophy or propagating some ism with the same aim of selfishness limited to the body and the mind. But above the body and mind is the dormant spirit soul, whose absence from the body makes the whole range of bodily and mental selfishness completely null and void. But less intelligent people have no information of the needs of the spirit soul. Because foolish people have no information of the soul and how it is beyond the purview of the body and the mind, they are not satisfied in the performance of their occupational duties. The question of the satisfaction of the self is raised herein. The self is beyond the gross body and subtle mind. He is the potent active principle of the body and the mind. Without knowing the need of the dormant soul, one cannot be happy simply with emolument of the body and mind. The body and the mind are but superfluous outer coverings of the spirit soul. The spirit soul's needs must be fulfilled. Simply by cleansing the cage of the bird, one does not satisfy the bird. One must actually know the needs of the bird himself. The need of the spirit soul is that he wants to get out of the limited sphere of material bondage and fulfill his desire for complete freedom. He wants to get out of the covered walls of the greater universe. He wants to see the free light and the spirit. That complete freedom is achieved when he meets the complete spirit, the personality of Godhead. There is dormant affection for God within everyone. Spiritual existence is manifested through the gross body and mind in the form of perverted affection for gross and subtle matter. Therefore, we have to engage ourselves in occupational engagements that will invoke our divine consciousness. This is possible only by hearing and chanting the divine activities of the Supreme Lord. And any occupational activity which does not help one to achieve attachment for hearing and chanting the transcendental message of Godhead is said herein to be simply a waste of time. This is because other occupational duties, whatever ism they may belong to, cannot give liberation to the soul. Even the activities of the Salvationists are considered to be useless because of their failure to pick up the fountainhead of all liberties. The gross materialist can practically see that his material gain is limited only to time and space, either in this world or in the other. Even if he goes up to the Swargaloka, he will find no permanent abode for his hankering soul. The hankering soul must be satisfied by the perfect scientific process of perfect devotional service. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation again. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong verse. Got ahead of myself there. The occupational activities a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor if they do not provoke attraction for the message of the personality of Godhead. Srila Prabhupada wrote this commentary in probably around 1963 or 64, before there was any International Society for Krishna Consciousness, before there was he had any followers, just an elderly monk living alone in Vrindavan, meditating deeply on these verses and wanting to share them in the English language. So Prabhupada was raised in Victorian India rather, which had this proclivity for masculine pronouns only. And therefore, he means mankind, means all humanity, men and women. So it should be understood these are not just referring to the male gender when we say his occupational duties. It's meant really for the universal application to men and women, everyone in humanity. So this question is, this point is raised that whatever we do that deals only with the body, mind, and physical being of our existence is a waste of time unless it provokes a message for hearing of the divine consciousness, or learning about how to please the spirit soul. The Bhagavad Gita explains how the soul is sitting in the body like a driver sits in the car. Yantra rudhani mayaya. So the need of the driver and the need of the car are very different. If we're making a road trip and we are low on gas, we have to stop and put the gasoline in because that's what the car requires. And if we are going to sustain ourselves during the trip, we have to drink water, because if we fail to drink water, we'll be dead after just a very short time, 2 or 3 days. So if we put water in the gas tank, the car will not go. And if we drink gas, we will not go. So we have to know the respective differences between the needs of the body and the needs of the soul. The needs of the soul, the needs of the body rather, are obvious. We need to eat, we need to sleep, we're inclined to mate, and we need to protect our situation. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Nidvahara, Maitunya, Bhayam in Sanskrit. These are the things that we require physically. Srila Prabhupada says that beyond these animalistic propensities in human society, we may extend our sense of physical well-being to our family, to our community, to our nation, even to the world. But if we don't know how to meet the needs of our family, community, nation, and world spiritually, then all we can do is protect them or preserve them or maintain them for some short time. And then after that, all of our efforts to maintain the physical well-being will end up in nothing, because the physical body will be gone. There was the great King Alexander who conquered so much of the known world in his day. And he contracted syphilis, so the historians believe, and was on his deathbed. So the king called his ministers and said, "When I die, I want you to perform my funeral as follows. First of all, I want my body placed on a palanquin with the arms up, palms open. Then I want this palanquin to be carried by 6 doctors. And then behind the palanquin, I want my servants to toss out gold, coins, and jewels." So the minister said, "Your Majesty, of course, will do this, but what is the meaning?" He said, "Well, I want everyone to understand that although I conquered the greatest kingdom known in history, I am leaving this world with nothing. And I want everyone to understand that although I had the best physicians in the world available to me, they could not stop my death. And I want everyone to see that although I accumulated so much wealth, in the end it was meant for the enjoyment of others." So that enlightenment pertains at least to the physical side of our existence. He was wise enough to see that whatever is accumulated in this world will be gone. However much we care for our health, however much we watch our diet, however much we love our family, all of that will be finished at some point. My mother used to say, "You Krishnas are so fatalistic." Birth, death, disease, old age. And I would say, "Mom, we're just being realistic. We're just trying to deal with the actual realities of life." And it doesn't mean that we have a negative view of the world. Quite the contrary, actually. Understanding the realities of life is the doorway to actual happiness. For example, if we have, say we're in school and we have a final exam coming up on Monday. So on Friday night, we're thinking we've been in school all week, now I have to study, but I'll study later. Let me enjoy myself right now. So we go out and Friday night passes, Saturday night passes, and we're thinking, okay, I'll study on Sunday. The whole time, though, we're thinking, okay, I got to study, I got to prepare. We may be trying to party and trying to enjoy ourselves, but then we're in the back of our mind, we know, I have this exam coming up, I have to get ready for it. So whatever ability we have to enjoy is tempered by the inevitable studying that we have to do, preparation that we have to do. So in the same way, discussing the realities of life is like the student who studies first on Friday night. Let me get my studying out of the way, let me prepare myself for the exam, and then I can actually enjoy myself, because I've dealt with my responsibilities. So this is the responsible purpose of the human life, to be prepared for the inevitable demise of the physical body, the physical vehicle that we're driving. And moreover, to understand the difference between the physical side and the spiritual side. See, animals can never understand. Although they are spiritual beings, just like human beings, they can never understand the difference between their living force and their physical body. This is why if we look at animals, they're always in anxiety. They're always in anxiety. I mean, sometimes like pampered dogs or cats can stretch out and have a little nap or something. But in the wild, if you look at the animals, they're always anxious. Look at birds, they're the most visible. Do you ever see a bird relaxing? They're always looking this way and that, hopping here, hopping there, flopping. There's no peace, because their only conception of life is the physical body. And therefore, they're anxiously trying to preserve it, although every bird that has ever lived has died. But they're thinking, well, I got to be the one exception. So, thinking that one is the body is animal life. Understanding that one is not the body is spiritual life. Human beings alone amongst all the creatures in this world have the ability to make this distinction. The human baby is born with this gigantic head, relative to the rest of the body. We have some cows at home where I live in the mother cow gave birth to a calf. We were all kind of watching and waiting every day, if we needed to be there to help or something. And then one morning, there was the calf. And this little calf, just born a few hours earlier, was standing on her legs, nursing. Right away, she was up and around. But when my daughter gave birth to our grandson, about around the same time, that kid was just like pinned to the mat. Couldn't roll, couldn't turn over. It was weeks before he could get his little head even off the mat, just to lift it up. So this should give us a clue that human birth means to use our head. We don't have the physical capacities of the animals, but they don't have our mental capacities. So mental capacity means to understand what is my situation. Like, why was I born in this particular family? Why was I born in this particular body? What caused it? Why, if there is a God who is, what does Hridayananda Maharaj say, triple O's, omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent, yes. If there's a good, all-knowing, all-good, all-powerful God, why are there so much discrepancies, so many discrepancies in human births? Why are some people born in countries that are at war or in famine or in poverty? Some people are born in countries where there is comfort and all care and no threat. This is the kind of question I used to ask in my Sunday school. When I was a young man, I asked the teacher this question, and she said that it is one of the mysteries of God. Right? It's one of the mysteries of God. In other words, if you want to believe in God, you just have to accept there's some things you can't understand. Even Billy Graham, the great Christian teacher, the minister to presidents from Eisenhower through Obama, he was asked why God would allow 9/11 to happen and 3,000 innocent people to be killed. And he said, I have been a practicing Christian my entire life, and I cannot honestly say I can answer that question. But, he said, it does not shake my faith in God. So that's very nice that he has this unshakable faith in God. But at the same time, are there no answers to this question? Why are there so many discrepancies, even amongst ourselves? You know, our mental capacity, physical capacity, our financial capacity, so many different considerations. Why are some people seem to have it all and some people don't? This can only be understood by recognizing the existence of the eternal soul. Just as is in this life, if we work hard and we buckle down and we go to school and we present ourselves well, we can get a good job and a good income. We get the results of what we do. And if we don't study and we don't dress well and we are casual in our job application, we may not get the job. So based on what we do, we get some results. This is the law of karma. We see it all the time, every day. And if it's existing now, if it's a universal law in our lives, why would it not exist in our multiple lives? Only that could explain to me when I began reading Bhagavad Gita. Then I got the answer to my question. Oh, whatever I am now is a result of what I've done in the past. And this indeed adds to the value of our spiritual education, because then we can understand what we are doing now will result in our future situation. So the great writer Emerson, I believe it was, said that the West, the Occident, the Western part of the world, is that strange place where people think they only live one life. It is much more common knowledge, especially in India, that there are multiple lives, and so people calculate their activities that way. People like to give charity, for example, in India, because they believe if I give charity now, in my next life I'll get it back. If I do something pious now, in my next life I will benefit. So we don't think that way in the West because we have this concept of the body is itself. I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember, there was a hair coloring product advertised in my youth called Clairol or something. Remember this? And their slogan was, "If I only have one life to live, let me live it as a blonde." So knowing that we have an extended existence beyond the physical, that the spiritual spark that animates this body is truly who we are, opens the door for a whole new dimension of enjoyment and happiness in life. When we have to be a little skeptical of thinking we'll find happiness through the externals. Even in the commentary, Srila Prabhupada writes that even philosophically speculating about things is only another kind of material enjoyment. Because there is an instruction manual that comes with this body. It's the Vedic literature, it's the Bhagavad Gita. It explains the whole situation, how the reincarnation is going on, birth and death is going on, how to get out of it. And how do we get out of it? This is when we actually feed the needs of the soul. We give our true selves what we really need to enjoy life on the highest level. In the verse it said that anything that we do that doesn't provoke attraction for God is a waste of time. So attraction for God, this is a strange concept for many, because to many of us the idea of God, if we believe in God at all, is more of a duty than a joy. It's more of an obligation. There's a phrase, he was a God-fearing man. Was meant, okay, this guy, he was appropriately afraid of offending God. So the problem with this is that it reduces the understanding of God to the universal judge, Judge Judy on a cosmic scale. And all God is doing is yes, no, heaven, hell, heaven, a rather boring job. And the concept of God in this way is so limiting to what He could do. I mean, would we enjoy that repetitive job eternally? What a boring routine, just judging everybody who comes along. So in the same way, thinking of God like this is boring. It's just, okay, I have to be afraid, I have to be obedient, and then maybe He'll spare me. You see, it's a very much of a business-like exchange, but God is so much more than this universal judge. He's so much more richer, and He's enjoying on so much more of a higher level. In fact, this whole duty of administering justice based on karma is delegated to Yamaraj. He doesn't bother with it. The Supreme Lord is the supreme controller of everything. And He manifests Himself in countless ways to take care of all of the other business that exists, so that He can enjoy. What does the boss of the corporation do, like a Microsoft or an Amazon? They do whatever they want. If the Amazon CEO wants to set up a space venture and go into space in orbit, he does that. What is the necessity? There's no necessity of it. It's just something he wants to do. So this is what we understand God to be in the highest understanding, that He's doing whatever He wants. For example, Krishna is carrying a flute. Why do you think Krishna has a flute? So that everybody knows He's got no work to do. He can just sit whenever he wants and play his flute. Balaram carries a plow. His first expansion, Balaram, he's got a plow. He has to deal with things. But Krishna's got a flute. No responsibilities. Now we talk about God as an abstraction. and this is the amazing thing about Krishna consciousness that hit me so deeply when I understood it, that God is a person, and I can know that person. I can learn about that person. He has activities, he has friends, he has family members, he has adventures, and those activities and adventures and friends and family, they're a source of endless discussion. If we're talking about a person, what do we, but among ourselves, what do we talk about? How does this person look? What's his family like? What has he done? What are his talents? What are his, his foibles? So many topics of conversation can center around a person that we know. But then God, in the abstract, there's nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about because it's just a concept. John Lennon, who had been a theist, became an atheist later in his life, and he wrote a song called God. And in this song he sang, "God is a concept by which we measure our pain." Anyone ever hear this song? No. You remember? It's like Nandini and I are, anyway. Now you all get to witness like a couple of members of our generation, like a museum or something. Anyway. Yeah, God is a concept by which we measure our pain. I didn't understand that when I heard that in the 70s, but now I understand what he was talking about. If we stub our toe, we say, "Oh God." Or we misplace our phone, "Oh God." But if we are in a car accident, "Oh God." So it's a little pain, it's God. It's a lot of pain, "Oh God." So it's a concept by which we measure the degree of pain we're undergoing. And he went on to say, "I don't believe in God, I don't believe in," etc., etc. So it's reasonable to say, "I don't believe in God," if all he is the universal judge. I don't want to live in fear. I don't want to live in intimidation. Any sensitive person will come to that realization. We don't want to live under a threat. This is why governments are overthrown, and this is why people get out of abusive relationships, because no one wants to live in fear. It's just if we're honest with ourselves and we really understand ourselves deeply, then we'll naturally get out of situations of intimidation. But so if God is only that, then Lenin is right. But if God is more than that, then we have this opportunity to understand more about him. So from the Vedic literatures we can understand all these aspects of Krishna, how he's controlling everything, how he's kind to everybody, how he is in everybody's heart, how his whole... we can understand not only how he creates the world, but why. Like there's a description in the Bible how God created the earth, but there's no explanation about why he created it. And why does he create it? From Bhagavad Gita, can anyone say? That's why he comes, but yeah, why does it create it? It's in chapter 15, verse 7, I believe. Yeah, that's it. Manak Shastani Indriyani. Yes. In other words, Krishna creates this world because we want to be separate from him. And he's just fulfilling our desire. Yeah, yedam dharyate jagat means that it exists because we want it. We want to experience a life separate from God, and because that's so foreign to our actual nature, it needs to be another place. So we have this opportunity to come to the material world and try to live without thinking about God. And therefore we get very involved with our bodies and our minds. So there's no obligation in this world. We are having our desires fulfilled. Just like, for example, if a person in society wants to be a renegade, I don't want to stop it. I don't want to follow the laws. I want to just do whatever I want. Eventually that person will be caught and put in prison. And so the government would like that person to go to college and use the library and use all the pleasant resources of the world. But the government also has the obligation to create a space for the renegade, to protect the rest of society. So our position in the material world, in this world, is like that. We have not wanted to be with Krishna, so we're here and trying to enjoy something which is not really enjoyable. And we're suffering, and we're going through one birth after the next, after the next. So this is why God creates. And how He creates is explained. So the point is that anything we do that doesn't bring us to understanding God in detail is just going to keep us in this repeated cycle of birth and death, in the prison, in the suffering, and there's no reason we need to do it. All we need to do is this very challenging task of developing a taste for hearing about God. When we say God, we're talking about His position. When we say Krishna, we're talking about His street name. That's how people, His friends call Him Krishna. His employees call Him God, but His friends call Him Krishna. So Krishna is non-different from His name. Any name of God, actually, Jehovah, Allah, Buddha, any name of God has the quality of being absolute, unlike other words. If I say your name over and over, well, it's not the same as sitting here and being with you, because the name and the person are different. But in the spiritual, absolute realm, the name and the person are the same. So if we just recite the names of the Supreme, we are associating with the Supreme. He's that accessible. His activities are full of interesting nuances and incredible adventures. We all like to hear about the adventures of great people in this world or in the world of fiction. Right? If the heroes in our movies were not doing amazing things, we probably wouldn't go and watch them. So the pastimes of Krishna are more amazing than anything Hollywood can produce, because His pastimes are, first of all, true, and secondly, hearing about them awakens our spiritual lives. We talked about the needs of the Spirit. This is what the Spirit needs, to hear about its Creator, to make a connection with its Creator. That is like drinking water in our road trip. This is feeding the needs of the inner soul, not only water, but all kinds of delicious food and juices and beverages and desserts, because Krishna's pastimes are like that. They're unlimitedly sweet and full of varieties, full of nuances. And becoming knowledgeable about them and then talking about them is very joyful. So to somebody who doesn't know about them, this may seem esoteric. This is the sort of thing that can only be experienced subjectively. In other words, the idea is there, that if we learn about Krishna, we talk about Krishna, we chant the name of Krishna, it awakens a great new dimension of enjoyment. But we can talk about it, but it has to be experienced to actually be understood. When we hear about Krishna and learn about Krishna, we become more and more connoisseurs of Krishna Katha, of topics about Krishna. We enjoy exchanging discussions. Well, Krishna did this, and Krishna did this, and I read that, and I read this. This becomes a source of great pleasure. In the Sanskrit, it's called bodhyanta parasparam, that we enliven each other, and our association becomes not like just we share the same interest in the same football team, but we share this great joy of spiritual awakening in our exchanges. That's why the community of devotees is such a special community, because there is a kind of happiness that comes from it that is inaccessible on the material platform. I mean, we all have friends, we all have company, but the company of devotees, the friends of devotees, that nourishes our spiritual lives on and on. So we practice this in our ashrams, in our temple. we practice chanting as the main practice. And when I read this verse, of course, I always think about how we all experience what they call the clearing platform in chanting. We chant for a while and then it gets boring. Or we feel like we're not progressing. Anyone ever experienced that? Yeah, we all experience that. So initially there's a great rush of awakening of spiritual life when we suddenly come out of the material concept into the spiritual concept of life. And it's incredible. I know I experienced this when I was 18 and it has lasted me my whole life. Just that contrast from my previous life to the spiritual awakened life that Srila Prabhupada has given us. But after the initial rush, it's like an introductory offer. Right? When they want to market a product, first they say, okay, here's a special introductory price. Or Black Friday, right? Before the holiday season. You buy now and you get this reduced price. So introductory experiences in Krishna consciousness are like that. It's a rush of joy. It's a rush of realization. And then we come to a platform where we are, okay, I am committed to the practice of bhakti. I want to continually develop my relationship with Krishna throughout the rest of my life. And then it can become dry. Now, what happens then? We don't have much attraction. We're not feeling much attraction for hearing and chanting about Krishna. So, what are some of the strategies that you have tried? You might like to share with everyone. Anyone like to offer Narottam, birthday boy? Associate with enthusiastic devotees. Yes, find people who have a taste and get in their company. Yes, good. Okay, other ideas, strategies? Yes, Aji. Hear more about Krishna. Yes, this is a really good example, a really good strategy. In other words, we don't have a taste, but we take it anyway. Yes, this is the example is given of jaundice. That when one is suffering from jaundice, the taste of sweet things is impeded. In other words, sugar, you not only cannot taste the sweetness of sugar, but it tastes bad. That's one of the symptoms of this liver disease. Excuse me, but the cure for jaundice is sweet. You have to eat sweets to get over the disease. So taking the medicine that is actually sweet in nature but tastes bitter, that's a good strategy for dealing with this lack of taste. Yeah, we were talking yesterday about the the lady who said to the wise sage, I love to hear you talk, but I don't remember anything. What should I do? And he said, bring me a basket of Ganga water tomorrow and I will tell you. And she said, but how can you put water in a basket? He said, never mind, just bring me a basket of Ganga water tomorrow. So the next day she came, she had an empty basket. She said, Maharaj, I went to the Ganga, I tried and tried to get water, but I couldn't keep any water in the basket. And he said, yes, but now your basket is clean. So even if we can't retain our hearing and chanting about Krishna, or what we learn about Krishna, even if we can't retain, just hearing it is purifying. And so coming to the class and reading the books and associating with that spiritual energy purifies us. Nandini, what is your strategy?
My spiritual master.
You've had a habit for many years of listening to lectures.
Sorry?
Can you share?
Yes, just stating that for many years, the hearing process, even sometimes, you have your valleys and you have your, so, but that's been a big blessing for me, just hearing to my spiritual master and Srila Prabhupada's lectures.
Mm-hmm.
And other I listen to many lectures, sometimes yours even. So it's very purifying.
There's a wonderful website, I'm sure you know, ISKCON Desire Tree. If you like listening to Srila Prabhupada's lectures, they have them chronologically, so you can listen to one each day. Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Any other strategies? Before we wrap, yes.
What I've been doing for japa is exploring my purpose, why I'm chanting.
Mm.
So I found a nice lecture series from Sachinandan Swami about, it's called The Heart of the Holy Name.
Mm.
And he is explaining our intention for chanting, going into it, and developing more faith in the process of chanting. So the short answer is exploring the why.
Mm-hmm. Why am I chanting? Yes. The chanting is meant to be a genuine cry to Krishna, like the cry of a child for its mother. It's unabashed, unfiltered, from the heart, and that takes practice. Because the mind tends to wander around, as Krishna explains in the chapter on yoga. From wherever and whenever the mind wanders, one must bring it back under control of the self. Good, thank you. Okay, Draupadi, did you have any?
Doing something that you like doing, that's in Krishna consciousness.
Very nice. That's really important, finding something. And this is a big part of our self-realization, finding what we like to do for Krishna. It's not very difficult, you just have to find what you like to do. And then do it. That way, we're connected with Krishna according to our nature. And this word dharma in the verse refers to that, our deepest nature. Krishna is amazing. You know, he creates unlimited, countless spiritual beings, each one to bring him pleasure in a unique way. Isn't that a very godlike thing to do? If you were God, wouldn't you do something like that? Let me just create endless, countless living beings to bring me pleasure all the time. Each one in their own unique way. So that's our task in self-realization, finding out how we can please Krishna. What is it, our very deepest core that we love to do? And why do we love to do that? Because when we please Krishna, we feel pleased. Isn't it? Anyone that we love, if we make that person happy, then we are immediately happy. Our child, our spouse, our parents, whomever we love, our friend, we make them happy, we feel happy. So when we make Krishna happy, we feel happy. And when we feel happy, we want to make Krishna happier. And when Krishna feels happier, he wants to make us feel happier. And then we want to make him feel happier. This is called Nitya Yukta Upasate, the endlessly increasing loving relationship with Krishna. And it hinges on finding out what it is that Krishna wants us to do. And we find that out by detecting, by experiencing a variety of things, and then doing those things that we really enjoy in Krishna's service. Thank you. Okay, one more last strategy, and then we'll wrap up. Anyone like to share? Or any other thoughts, comments, questions, reflections? Yes, Prabhu.
I just have a question, Maharaj. So Draupadi had said to find something that you like to do for Krishna, and you were explaining that as well, and that's how the reciprocation happens. But I feel like I do things out of obligation, and I also do the things that I like to do. Like I really like coming to class. I love listening to Bhagavatam. I don't really think I'm doing anything expressly because of Krishna's desire, you know? So how can I work on that?
Well, you know that's Krishna's desire because you enjoy it. That's the point. Then we know Krishna is pleased if we're feeling happiness in our spiritual activities. You mentioned obligation. And yes, and as a mother, as a wife, you have so many obligations. We all do. So this is why this verse is so nice. Dharma swanushtita pumsam. All the duties that we do, if they are ultimately meant for pleasing Krishna, then they are valued, useful activities. So what about then the ordinary course of life responsibilities that we all have? If our life itself is an offering to Krishna, then taking care of our obligations are also an offering to Krishna. You see? For example, we talked about the physical body. Well, the physical body has so many needs and requirements. If we meet them just for the sake of meeting them, then this is the same as an animal. But if we meet them for the sake of using this body in Krishna's service, then they're spiritualized. So understanding this philosophically may or may not make our chores more enjoyable. But when we're lying in bed going to sleep at night, we can think, okay, I have offered this whole day to Krishna. And that's a very reassuring feeling. Everything I've done today, I've done for Krishna service. Keeping body and soul together so that I can serve Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes. You know what this really is difficult for jobs and school. We're going to our job or we're going to school because this is our offering to Krishna. And it may seem rather obtuse, indirect. But again, seeing the bigger picture, I'm learning this so that I can get a good job and I can maintain a family for Krishna. I'm going to my job so that I can earn a check and I can provide. And my home is a temple, and I am the caretaker. It is Krishna's property. I'm just the steward. I'm the manager. I'm the employee who maintains this little temple of my home. In this way, work can become part of our yoga as well. All right. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Lovely to see everyone here. I look forward to my next visit. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yes.
So, and also the publication back home that God. So my question is, so were we with God or were we with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So this is $1 million question.
Were we with God or were we with Krishna?
Right. In other words, we were God in Vaikuntha or
Oh, I see.
Right, so I guess what comes up for me, trying to grasp this, which is way beyond my pay grade, and Prabhupada would always do an example of the house not on fire, just don't worry about it, just get out.
Right.
But it's, it states that we desire, just like you mentioned, we desire to be in the world. So if we were in the spiritual world, with all the bliss, and all the love, and all the relationships, how could we ever turn our back on that? And it's
I'll tell you my understanding of that. It's more subtle than just walking away from Krishna. Just more like a curiosity. Everything's centered around Krishna. I wonder what it's like to be Krishna. Just that, which is a very subtle deviation from, I just want to please Krishna. I know what it's like to be Krishna. And because Krishna's fulfilling my desire.
creation is awesome.
Yes. Just so amazing, just like that.
Very nice.
You want to experience that, there it is. I'm happy to see you again whenever you want to serve me.
Very nice. Thank you. So you're coming, I guess, to our home tonight.
I'm so much looking forward to it. I was thinking of we're having a little fun, kind of anglicizing the Sanskrit bhajans.
Okay.
And it calls for some kind of a screen or projector. Is that possible?
I don't have that.
Don't have it.
Anything like that. Now, I remember, what is it Sona, your disciple?
Yeah.
I thought they had something.
I can project it or something. Okay. I'll ask, they're out of town.
Now they're out of town, so I have can you do it on the computer? I have just a small Macintosh.
Do you have, what I could do, I could email it to you. Just read it off their phones.
Okay, that would be great. That's what we do all the time with my baby. I got this wonderful, I love this app. It's Pocket Vedas. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Is it Apple or?
And I don't know, I've got a drawer. It's an Android, but
It's Android, okay.
it's just. I downloaded it some years back, and it has so many of Prabhupada's books.
Pocket Beta.
Pocket Vedas.
Okay.
I really like
Cool.
it.
I have only the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
So this is great.
It's a great. You can download. They're all there. It's really, really nice. I was reading. What was I reading the other day? I was reading so good. This is so beautiful. Yeah, it's great. I like it. And I have it. So I've set it up so it's like white on black because I find it easy to read myself like this.
I see.
Wow,
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very
All
much.
right. All right. Good job.
I look forward to tonight. What time should we come?
So it was hard for my mom at first, but within 4 or 5 years, we ended up having a Thanksgiving where I had my mom and dad in the same room, and they're laughing and joking, and I'm making jokes about how I'm trying to get my parents back together, 35 years, 40 years old. And
My name's Zephyr.
it was great. It was really lovely, and that wouldn't have happened if that door hadn't slammed shut, and there was no chance for
It's because I've been coming on and off like,
Okay.
and then recently I come usually like every morning now
Oh,
because of my schedule. I can come in the morning.
nice.
So I just like the way you're doing this because sometimes it's kind of hard to understand
Ah,
because it can feel in depth.
and it's something
Like what?
giving someone
But
the fruits of that.
I was just pretty much
It's indescribable.
I'm trying to
I
really
have a
understand
feeling now that I wouldn't have had
and
if I had been closed off.
what's your best advice on somebody that's like
what's your situation? Do you read Gita or do you chant?
well, I have so many books because I like the whole religion. Like I've always been real amazed by the whole Christian stuff. And then when I started coming, I was like, and then I have so many books because I'll see something with Krishna and I'll buy it.
I see.
So I have like stacks of books.
Yeah.
So I need to start reading.
You're like me, put them by your bed at night, by osmosis maybe.
Maybe you know, but like every night, like I'll have like chanting music, and that's what I go to sleep to. And then I wake up and I have been chanting, but then I stop and I start.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a person.
And where, are you Jewish or people?
I live in the other side of downtown.
So it's a bit like, is it 20 minutes?
I need to give it a chance.
The chanting,
And so
chanting is like our individual thing, but then
there always is.
associating with other devotees is really the most powerful. Do you ever attend like the Bhakti circle?
Well, I come like almost every day.
You're coming every day, so
My
well,
dad
that's the
pushing me
best
on the
thing
swing
I
for
can
the first time,
advise.
and
And
I think I was 37.
chanting fixed number of rounds, whatever it is, 1 round, 2 round, do it every day.
Yeah, so
Just I'm doing whatever
we're at a park,
whatever you
my
can
son was
maintain
doing
this.
tennis or something.
Even 1 round,
So
so
we're
how is
watching
it
him, and
that
there's
you
some swing
chant around?
sets, and I was like, hey, I've never been pushed on a swing by my dad.
Because I'll even do it today. I just forgot my beats.
Ah, okay.
But usually I do it like while I'm in here,
Really,
and then
very silly.
I keep the beats in my car. So
But
if I'm
just
on break,
looking at it
I'll
makes
go to
me
my car and just connect that great.
Nice. That's
Or
fantastic.
if I'm just walking around at the salon because I'm a hairstylist plus I manage the salon. So when I'm walking around and I'm not really talking to nobody, I'm just kind of like looking around and doing some
Make
stuff.
sure everything is
Yeah, then I'm chanting.
it's another angle to think about.
No, you're on the right track. There's a Saturday night gathering called Bhakti Circle.
Yeah.
You come to that.
I haven't. I used to come to it when it was on Wednesdays, and then they changed it to Saturdays, and then Saturdays is busy at work. So then by the time I get off, I'm like, I would have to come straight from work over here.
Right. How about Sunday?
Sundays, I saw that there's one that it's gonna start on Sundays.
Yeah, just at the yoga house. Yeah.
So I try like at 11.
Yeah. So that's our challenge here because it's so popular with the Indian community, and they like they like the more esoteric.
Oh no, I've been to Sunday's service. The evening one.
Yeah.
I've been to that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. You're not intimidated by it.
Oh no, I love it. I love it. I've always been intrigued about the whole religion and
The classes tend to be a little more on the esoteric side. That was one.
oh, okay, okay.
The Sunday class at the yoga house, I think that'll be more your
On On Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, because on Sunday nights it gets real intense.
Yeah.
Which I like, but of course a lot of it I don't understand.
Yeah.
You know, but I'll come in here and they already know me, and like the guys here, you know, they're like, hey,
Hey,
you know,
okay.
yeah, so like, yeah, breakfast with us, and I'll say, yeah. And then if I don't come for a while, or a couple of days, 3 days, they're like, hey, we missed you, that's what you were. So they know me already.
That's great. So you're making friends, you're making, that will, you're doing all the right stuff.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of a good introductory book for you. One that you might really enjoy reading is the Prabhupada Lilamrita, which is the story of Prabhupada's life. It's also in a condensed version called Your Ever Well Wisher. But that book is a page turner. You know, his whole life coming up to starting this book, especially the earlier years before he came to America and then the early years in America. I think you might enjoy that. What is it called? It's the biography of Srila Prabhupada.
Okay.
It has a Sanskrit name, but you just remember the biography if you ask any of the devotees.
I need it.
Okay. I can tell you the name.
Sure. Yeah, I think this is a great consideration, Kevin, to ponder, well, what am I praying for? Is what I'm praying for too generic or so generic that it seems like maybe impossible to even answer specifically? Well, I don't think anything is too generic for God, right? I mean, I can pray for an end to hunger around the world, which is that's a pretty big ask. But I mean, He's God, right? He could fill everybody immediately and take away all hunger in an instant. I do think, Kevin, I do think that when we are specific in prayer, there is a focus for our intention and also for our own disciplines and for our own works of penance that are specific.
Thank you so much.
A pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Take
care.
Thanks.
By the Cardinal of the Patriarchate of Jerusalem to pray for peace and reconciliation. Well, we're praying specifically for this situation between the Israelis and Palestinians and in the whole region.
I
had to tone it down. We pray also, as you mentioned, for the safety of our president and for all of those involved in seeking and striving to find peace. I think there is something to be said for being specific in our prayers, and also for being insistent in that specificity. So not giving up on those particular prayers. Now, are there parallels between what's happening now and World War II, World War I? Yeah, there are always parallels, but usually it takes hindsight to see everything so clearly. So I guess we'll see what will happen, in this situation. I'm leaving all of that to God and just doing my part to try to practice and exercise peace. Prayer and penance in my life. So thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. Yeah, let's pray very specifically for those intentions you mentioned, and I think the more specific we are, the more laser focused we can be in the spiritual life. If you're just joining me, we were talking about how the church has invited us to prayer and penance today, October 17th, specifically for peace and reconciliation in the Holy Land. And I mean, this is not new, is it? I mean, we have been seeing violence erupt for decades, and we have been seeing the strife and difficulty that those living in Gaza and Israel have experienced.
All right. May Krishna give you the patience. Okay.
It feels different.
It's really nice. As you get older,
urgency of finding some lasting solution, some lasting justice. And also, especially, I mean, being the worst terror attack on Israel in its history, we see the hostages taken, we see all the possible tragedy that will continue to unfold, and we pray for healing, peace, and for an end to all of that. 888-914-9149 is the number to call. I have to take a quick time out, but we do have a few open lines here, 888-914-9149. I'll be right back.
celebration of all human life, conception to natural death. Add your memoirs to our tally by clicking on the Memorare meter at relevantradio.com. Let us pray. Remember, O most gracious Virgin Mary, that never was it known that anyone who fled to thy protection, implored thy help, or sought thy intercession was ever left unaided. Inspired with this confidence, we fly unto thee, O Virgin of Virgins, our Mother. To thee do we come, for thee we stand, sinful and sorrowful. O Mother of the Word incarnate, despise not our petitions. From your mercy, hear and answer us. Amen.
Donating property to Relevant Radio is a great way to provide support and funding for the programs you love.
The K.L. Clark Show.
Morning Air.
The Patrick Madrid Show. Drew Mariani.
If you have a second home, land, or commercial property that is costing you money and not being utilized, donating it is a great way to give back, and you may even claim a significant tax deduction. Submit your asset for consideration at relevantradio.com/property. That's relevantradio.com/property. Relevant Radio is supported by Notre Dame Federal Credit Union.
You work hard for your money. Now let it work for you. Earn up to 4.75% annual percentage yield with Ultimate Personal Checking and receive $200 when you add a direct deposit. Business and nonprofit accounts also available.
Visit NotreDameFCU.com/ultimate to learn more. That's NotreDameFCU.com/ultimate. Rate subject to change at any time.
Hi, this is Father Simon, way out in cyberspace, and we continue with Clever Codes on Tuesday against the Feast of Mercy, Gracious Emanuel. I can't help it. Everything is fascinating. I'm talking about him on Tuesday. Join me for an hour of journalistic excellence at 1 p.m. Central Time on Relevant Radio and the Relevant Radio app.
If you're in the market for health insurance, our sponsor, the Catholic Order of Foresters, is here to help you and your family find the most cost-effective plan. Learn more at relevantradio.com